Okay, then we need to do the prayer over.
Okay, because did you start early?
No, it's just now. I had read something and then did a little prayer, but we could do it over.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come together with an open heart and an open mind. May you bless our minds and our hearts to understand the lesson we have before us today. Please guide us, Father. In your name, we open to read the chapter 7 in Living Spring. Oh, hi, Val.
Hey there, Regina. Hi.
Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm here.
Good. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
wait. I didn't do that right. Screen share. Oops.
Hello, sunshine.
Hey, Valerie. How are
Hi,
you?
how are you?
We're good.
Good to see your smiling face.
Yay. I'm unhappy I can't see yours.
Oh, it's quite all right. You can imagine. Just use your imagination. It's better.
I think we're reading the perfect chapter for this particular issue.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is a tricky one here. Okay. By their fruits you shall know them. This is Jesus in Matthew 7:16. And I do believe this is where he is talking about when a bad tree can't bring forth good fruit. Only a good tree can bring good fruit. But I do believe these are all metaphors. So let's check them out. Not by its size. Have no clue what that means, but anybody is welcome to participate in that. Not by its shape. Not by its branches. Not by the magnificence of its crown. Now that one I think is like if you are a head of state, or if you are rich, or a king or queen, or anybody who's in a position where they're considered a monarch or something of that nature is how I see that one. Anyone else? Don't be shy.
I think that, did I unmute?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I said, I think that it's not by appearances, but by what you produce, how much love you produce or what you produce in your life. It's not by how much money you have, or not by outer appearances. It's by what you produce that you'll know the good fruits, as though they say,
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all examples of, we don't need to look pretty to open up the camera.
Why, thank you.
Ooh.
That's too funny.
Not trying to look pretty.
That's
Not trying to look pretty.
okay.
Oops. The perfect chapter, right?
That's funny. Not by its radiant looks. There you go. Not by its unpleasant appearances. So that's a mean-spirited person. We have a person who looks extremely beautiful on the outside. We never know what's inside their heart. Oftentimes, we don't know. Not by its ancient trunk. So I'm assuming that's because of age. Does it mean that they've taken time to perfect anything or work on their inner heart? Anything like that. That's my take on that one. Not by the fragile fruit, the leaves. What do you think?
Sickness.
Sickness?
Miss Gina,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I think that the fruit is something that you can see when you have a apple seed.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot see anything in the seeds, but everything is in that seed. The branches, the leaves, the size, the everything that we have read here is in the seeds, and that the fruit comes out from the seeds, and everything in the universe should have a fruit. When has a fruit and is complete, is has received the goal where he should go. You know, when we are complete with the tree we see, when the apple is ripe, then is ready, is finished, his job, his way, his path has received. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Everything is in the seed. And this here metaphor is saying, though, if you have a tree and the tree is bad, then the seed cannot come forth. I believe that's the type of thing this is saying. And so if you have a good tree, is what you're explaining, everything comes out of the good tree. The good branches, it's able, the good fruit is able to come out on the tree and everything. So yeah, that makes good sense to me.
And do you know you said a good tree or bad tree? That is the seeds is seeds. But here we have one mentor, we have teachers, we have guidance, and they are like the gardener. And when they take care of the seeds, then we will have a good fruit, a good tree, a good result of everything.
Yeah, and I think another way of looking at this here too is that you cannot judge by appearances or unpleasant appearances. You can't not by its fragrance or odorless flowers. Doesn't look, help. So in other words, I'm thinking that if you're looking at this as a person, you want something to say, Sunshine? Because floor is open.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Finish your sentence. I'll say it later.
No, go ahead.
I no, I'm not ready.
So not by its aroma, not by its repulsive smell. No tree is known or admired for its outward appearance, but for its fruit, its usefulness, and its productivity. The same is true of spirit on a journey. Aha, there we have it. Nobody who is truly committed to the truth will testify on our behalf by what we seem to be, by the superficiality. So are they saying what we just read, these not by all these things is superficial, right?
That's how I understand it. It's just all appearances, but underneath it, we need to look deeper. We can't judge the book by its cover.
Right. This puts me in the heart and mind of people who going through trials and tribulations. And sometimes they take them well, and sometimes they don't. And if someone is going through a trial, or, well, we can say it's a trial, but it's their life experience, and they're not saying it's a trial, it's they're living it. If someone who, let's say they're going through an illness, and it's the first time that it's even been in the family, and they're the first person to have it, then they're not looking at it like it's a trial. They're looking at, this is my life and what's happening. Oh God, how, help me type thing. And so I don't think we have the right to go around and say, well, this person deserves to be in such and such a position because this is how life is. Now, I think that's kind of brutal. I think that people should be able to express how they feel without our 2 cents. But if they're, because I think it's kind to just listen and not judge. But if they're asking, different questions about their life, then I think we go to a different spin. I think it goes into a different direction because it's their life. You don't want to hurt people. So anything else, anybody else have anything they want to say about this? This is a different one here, boy, I tell you.
Is there more?
Yeah. This is the
There
end.
we go. I thought that wasn't a complete sentence.
Yeah, it's more. So nobody who is truly committed to the truth will testify on behalf by what we seem to be, by the superficiality of our lives, by the epidermis of our attitudes or individual expressions, perceived and passing. What does that word mean?
In passing. And
Oh.
epidermis is the skin or the outward appearance.
Right, okay, yeah. In passing, that's how you say that?
En passant. That's actually a term used in chess, but it means in passing.
But by the essence of their cooperation on the shared road of progress, by the weight of our concourse in the overall good. By their fruit you shall know them, said the master. By our deeds we shall be known. So I'm thinking that he's talking about our lives and the opportunity that we have to learn who we are and to learn why we're here and how best to live our lives with sharing, with compassion, with our neighbors. What comes to mind is, I guess the 10 Commandments, really. You want to live by them if you're not doing anything else in terms of spirituality, and everybody should know the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, goods, or whatever it is.
If I may, earlier today, I was on Kardec Radio going through a bunch of old stuff. And I happened to choose a recording from, it was in Christmas time of 2016. And Trump had just been elected and was getting ready to serve his 4 years. And the essence of the lesson, I forgot what the book was because I listened to 6 or 7 of them in a row, but the essence of the lesson was about, we can get caught up into sarcasm. Sarcasm is typically based on what appears to be, not what really is. And it was interesting, especially in the sense of what has subsequently occurred since 2016, to think of this very passage. At the time, the lesson was, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He may turn out to be a good president in spite of his unique ways of communicating.
Mhm.
And let's stop all the sarcasm and let's get behind the leader of our country, and so on and so on. and I found, as we were reading this, I was reflecting on that earlier recording I heard, and I'm thinking to myself, how often do we do this besides every 4 years? We're judging people based on their outward appearance, based on what we see on TV, based on how they appear to be.
Yeah. That's
And
exactly what this is about.
not just politicians, obviously.
True. That's true. That's true. And this is what he's saying, that it's something we should not do for sure. And this is what we'll be weighed or measured about, was how we are judging others. And he's saying that these are those silly things that we think matter are not what matters to him. What matters is what's in our hearts, being compassionate, loving, kind, and treating our neighbors we would like to be treated, those kinds of things. And I think too, we oftentimes have hardships in our lives we don't know how to express that sometimes. We don't know what they mean when we have them. And we know because of Spiritism that, those is oftentimes could be, just getting your attention to think differently, to ask questions, to put your attention on God. Many things could be. You guys are very quiet tonight, and it's shaking me up. I tell you, what's going on? I'm not sure I like it.
Well, sometimes it's content that we need to digest for a while, and sometimes it's content that we consume easily. This one might be pretty simple.
Yeah. I think all the examples that he brings are just examples of what we shouldn't judge, because that's just outward appearances.
Right.
And
all of these things here.
Yeah. And these are just examples. There's, of course, a lot more, and these are just the ones he picked. And what we're really supposed to look at in ourselves and others is how we make a difference in our lives. And you said it already, how charitable are we?
Yeah.
And that's the fruits of our tree.
Yeah.
Piggybacking on what Mark was saying, the fruits of Trump's works were chaos, confusion, lies. So if you waited to see what the fruits were, not just judging on the cover, because a lot of people liked him because he seemed rough and tough and he was a star. But when you look at what he put forward and what he did, his fruit is kind of bitter, so.
And it is interesting that 4 years later, there's a volume of people that are in kind.
Yes, isn't it interesting?
Yes.
It's frightening how people are hypnotized and want to see what they want to see and don't see through. It's very interesting. Kind of frightening.
I don't think that's just the politics. I think that's just people in general.
Well, I mean, look at popular opinions of the mega billionaires right now.
I mean, shoot, look at our own relationships. We see what we want.
Well, of course.
Plus, the devil needs company, and so they're all mocking the devil. They're all Trump to me was the devil. And people he got a lot of publicity. He got a lot of fame. So people are copying him.
Yeah.
Look at Santos, George Santos, nothing but lies. You know, if we allow our government to be lies, then it isn't the people anymore. And that's what Trump wanted to do. He wanted to become a dictator. And I'm sorry, but I don't live in America for a dictator.
Here's the thing.
Veronica,
We needed Trump to bring out the ugliness so that our hearts, these hearts can purge. And we needed him to help people show their hand. And some people are being educated from this by the trouble that it caused them to have them be isolated or put in jail, or, you know, the sad part, some people actually did get killed and trampled over. But the biggest picture here is that he's still a child of God. And God will forgive him if he chooses to change whatever. But, you know, how do I know he wasn't sent here to do just what he did? To pull out this craziness out of our hearts and minds, and for us to see it, that it does exist, and it has to come out of the closet.
We make our
And
choices.
And God sent us to counter it because we know it's not good fruit. And so God sent people like us just to question it, not just to go to the gas chambers like they did in Germany. And so do you see what we're talking about? Is if he sent Trump, then he obviously sent people who oppose Trump, who see the good fruit.
Well, yes, and it's your choice. That's the point of having free will. Where are you going to throw your energy? I don't think he was the devil. I think he really exonerated the dark side and the ego and selfishness and immaturity. And again, it brings it to the surface so people can choose. Do you know? I don't think he was the devil. You know, and we all have these tendencies within us, and what are we going to feed? What are we going to activate? So he is a child of God and an instrument of the Most High, especially on this particular planet, I think. And so if you take it a little bit on a larger scale, and yes, you fight back with your thoughts, your heart, how you choose to function and put your energy.
If I may, in studying the forgiveness book, we just hit upon an understanding, a level of understanding that I'm still struggling with in many ways. But on this particular example, it's pretty easy. Was there any question of Trump's intention?
No.
I mean, he was absolutely foretelling of his intention, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. Oh, exactly.
And so
Intention is always good.
see, the intention is always good. It's the execution. So, you know, a first step to forgiveness is to realizing his intention was
Good.
appropriate.
And I think this message really helps us also to remember not to be judgmental. And what I'm hearing right now is a lot of judgments.
Absolutely. And it's,
So,
however, I preface
important that we start off by holding up the mirror and looking into our own faces and our own lives.
agreed. And so many of the lessons that Jesus gave us were real-time lessons. And that's why I preceded my statements by saying, remember, I was looking back 7 years ago. I was listening to a recording and the comments that were made 7 years ago. So we have the advantage of not only looking at the present day, looking at what has occurred in 7 years. And so to be judgmental based on historical fact is not the same as being judgmental on the outward appearance in the moment.
Well, just
Yeah, but it's still, you know, I mean, remember also in the forgiveness book, we learned that we always only know a part of the elephant.
Oh, absolutely.
So every judgment is superficial. I mean, we're told from the spirits on high continuously to not judge, because when we point the finger, three are pointing back at us. Nobody of us is perfect, and we do still judge, no question. But we're meeting here for
Perfect.
information, right? So that's why I said it.
Yeah,
Well, we need to be discerning, but you don't want to be judgmental, but you do need to be discerning in your life.
Right, and the judgment, it's the moral judgment. Of course, I can't touch the hot stove, I mean, I
Right.
judge that,
Right, exactly.
but it's about the moral judgment.
mhm, mhm.
No, I want to say, I think it's way more than that. I mean, I want to say you're right about the judgment and the forgiveness, of course. But that's why we're continuously studying, and we're here to learn, even through our own life challenges and other people's life challenges. And that's how we learn. But let's keep it real. I mean, like not only discernment, but there's a lot of things that we choose not to see. As I was saying earlier, you see through colored eyes, and that's not judgment either. I mean, there's a lot of history in the US, I think, as we know.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So,
And it doesn't affect some people, but it affects a lot of us.
no, and I think we all know that, and that's why we're here, because you're right, we're not perfect, and that's why we're here to learn. And yeah, look in the mirror, or else if you don't accept something, you can't change it.
Absolutely.
Well, like I said,
Regina, I had a question. I come back to the fruit, and everything has a fruit. The tree has the fruit and the flowers. That is the perfect. When they are perfect, they should have flowers, and we enjoy that. What is the fruit of the human being? What is our fruit?
the fruit of your heart, the lessons that you've learned, and you implement that. You have your compassion, you have self-love, and then the love that you give to others. You have the love of God, you have all of those lessons that you learn is your fruit, especially if you're implementing them, being silent when and instead of gossiping about somebody. That was one of the messages that we had in the opening prayer. You have taking care of yourself and those around you, if you are able. It's much, much more. Everything that's in the gospel, even the Bible, starting with those 10 commandments, could be your fruit.
How we can be sure that we have that fruit? Everybody thinks that he is doing some good things, but sometimes it's not the same. That is like Mother Teresa said, I don't need to talk, I show it with my thought, but I am. And that is it. How can we be sure that we have this fruit?
I don't think it's up to us to judge ourselves. I think we continue pursuing what we believe to be the most fruitful direction of our life. And we let the chips fall where they will when we pass on afterwards.
Well, we have Augustine, right, who recommended to do the nightly review to
It's as
see
close
what
as but that's as close as we can get, because we're not going to be completely objective with ourselves.
to see where we are in our inner development. And we know that God's laws are written in our conscience. So we will invariably, anything that goes against it will at some point show up. It will rattle us. And it's, from my experience, usually the first thing that comes up is something that wasn't, and so then I, get it, and then see what I amended, you know. So yeah, so I think that's a really good practice to learn how we can be discerning with ourselves and follow to become better fruit, to bear better fruit. And Mosen, Emmanuel here in this text tells us that the fruit is our usefulness and our productivity.
From Joanna de Angeles that I listen every morning that send us. Thank you. And I learned that this fruit in human is the light in the heart.
Yeah,
Then we have the light, then we have the fruit. And that is that help us to find the path, the right path and the truth. The fruit is exactly the truth. Then we have the truth in ourselves, then we have the fruit. So long that we don't have it, we have no fruit. And that is what Jesus says. You should know the truth, then it makes you free. So long that we don't have the fruit, we are not free. We are still engaged with something else. We are attached to something else. We are not attached to the truth because we don't know the truth. And everything that we see, we think that can be truth, that can be truth. And the light can show us that which one is the truth. Thank you.
Yeah, but you have to have conscious. We're learning, even like right now, listening to each other, bouncing off of each other's thoughts and wherewithal. We're becoming even more conscious. So we have to become conscious of what Jesus's teachings are and implement them. We have to embrace those teachings. We have to work with them and practice them daily. And you changing your attitude, your way of seeing things, and even like we're talking about Trump. I can sit here and say, well, I could hate him or I can love him like God wants me to. I can sit here and feel like he's going to hell, but hey, I might get there before him, So it's best to learn the teachings of what God is teaching you, of Jesus brought us. Number one is love. And, number two, love, forgiveness. 1 and 2, forgiveness, always. And I think all of that brings light in the heart. The more compassion you have for another human being, I believe that brings light to your heart. Every time you pray and you pray for another being, I believe that brings light in your heart. That letting go of all that selfishness, me, myself, I come first, let me do it for me, but what's in it for me? That kind of thinking. I mean, not saying you don't take care of yourself, no. I'm just saying if it's always about what you want, what you need, how you want to do it, where am I going? If it's always centered around yourself, that to me is selfishness. But what we're learning. And if that's something I feel that is about me, then that's something I would have to break. And as I break through all of that and start correcting that, I'm bringing light in my heart. So all of the changes that you make are very, very important, all of them, especially if it's for the better good of yourself. It points towards God. You're on the right track. I think for me, I'm not a how or a be. So whatever good, if I can stop yelling at my kids, I feel like I brought a whole lot of light in my heart, So whatever change we can make on a conscious level and work towards it, I think is very, very important for growth. And that's my 2 cents.
Right. And the definition says to see the good in all, to be indulgent towards others' imperfections, and to be forgiving. And part of that is to separate the crimes from the criminals, because the criminals all need our love, and that includes Trump.
And his brothers and sisters.
And I agree with what everyone said. And I also want to say that you're right, the forgiveness, all of those things that we need, the compassion, and even more so when someone, like we're talking about Trump, you got to pray for the man, but it doesn't mean you have to agree with him.
Yes.
So that's why you pray for him. Yeah, because to me, it's like you have to feel sorry for people sometimes. It's like, forgive them for they know not what they do, things like that. So I just see it as, of course, you don't have to agree with someone and think they did something wrong, but certainly that's why you have the compassion and the patience and everything else with them, because you get to that level so that you can have the compassion and pray for them, because you feel bad for them, for the choices they make or whatever they do.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Agreed. I agree. You don't have to like it, but you do need to let it go, not throw shade anywhere, you know, because it just comes back on you're adding to more hatred in the world.
Yeah, you know, it was one of the young ladies was here today, and she was fired from her job. And so she was sitting here ranting and raving about how wrong they were and how she wishes this and that on them. I said, girl, you better stop that right now. And I went into telling her why. You're gonna cause your own self to be ill. Everything you wish is gonna come right back at you. You cut that loose right now. You know, it's just a job. You learned something from it. Take that and go, you know? But anyway, you know, you teach wherever you can, and that to me brings like, even to another human being, they have to see it. And if they're open to you, they'll listen. If they're not, then, you know, you can't tell everybody anything. I can't walk up to Trump and tell him to repent. Ain't my job either, thank God for that.
That's funny. I'd like to see that. Of
Not our job, right? Yeah. All right.
course not, but it's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
At work today, they were talking about there was a healer that I guess came and did an activity with some of them, and basically they said on the Mayan calendar today is like the day where they plant seeds, and so it's funny that we're talking about seeds and fruiting, and it's all on the same day. And we were just talking about that at work today.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, planting seeds is important. And again, it's you know, last night, it's interesting, Duska said in class that on the 31st is, gosh, I don't know how she put it, but it had something to do with a group of changes supposed to happen on the planet. And she said that it's a day where you're supposed to at least try and choose something in your life that you want to change. And be in prayer on that day. I'm like, wow, that was kind of interesting for her to say. Anyway, so planting seeds. Every day that we are on this journey, I believe that's what we're trying to do, is plant the seeds of growth for our own selves. Whether it's, you know, moving forward with knowing a little bit more about ourselves, what we'd like to have changed about ourselves, and how can we go about doing that. But I think we all question these things, especially if we want a better life. We have to. So I think that's interesting. A lot of times things coincide, you know, like the seeds that you're talking about, Taylor. So that's
I know all the signs connect. It's like, oh, that connects.
Did you happen to go to it, or is
I
that
didn't. We're gonna have our own workshop. My supervisor went, and so she was telling me and my coworker about it. And it was just funny because we were just talking about, you know, work and kind of our change in positions a little bit. And she brought that up, and we were kind of already discussing like how my coworker, she had like learned kind of through her job, like how to like give her a stronger backbone physically and emotionally, because she actually got injured, and it was more of like a spiritual like kind of check in her, where it was like she had to kind of grow in that area where she was taking better care of herself now. And so it was funny because everything just kind of connected today. So it was like, oh, wow.
Wow, thanks for your story. Well, guys, anything else? What, Mosen?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
But I also think that when it comes to our fruit, we try to do the best we can by our children even, but it doesn't mean that your children will pick up the things that we say and do. We can try as we may. Hi, Sheila. And but I was reading something today, and it said that don't be disillusioned by thinking that because we try to give it our all, that it will definitely put your children in a on that same path that you want them to go on. It's up to them and their free will, basically, is what it ended up saying. But I think it helps. It gives them a good sounding board, to start with mentally. They'll know where to go, how to start. Okay, anybody else? That's it. Okay, well, let's end with this last one here in seek the middle ground, the saying goes. This is an appeal for moderation without extreme. Whenever you get impassionate and assume an extreme posture, you make the same mistakes that you criticize in others. In any decision, taking the middle ground is best, not out of convenience or fear, but because you don't have all the facts. Balanced conduct is revealed at the time decisions are made. Happy life.
So the middle ground is like Buddha, because Buddha takes the middle ground, part of the Eightfold Path.
Well, yeah, well, Buddha's on the same track as everything we're talking about, as far as I'm concerned. Buddha's a very spiritual being. So anyway, anybody like to do the closing prayer? Is that you, Sonia, saying, yeah, I'll do it? Okay, good.
Yeah, but I couldn't find my mute button. Okay.
Okay, good.
Let us close our eyes. Most divine and heavenly Father, it is with gratitude from our hearts, and we give you so much thanks for this opportunity, for discernment, deciphering, having the conversations with brothers and sisters to be able to open our eyes, open our hearts, and continue on this journey of life as we continue to learn, love, and grow. We chose to be here at this time. Let us take this opportunity. With so much love and gratitude and blessings, we ask permission to close our study group for this evening. So it is, and so be it.
And so it is. Thank you.
So it is, so be it.